next and the last what we are going to see in scripting for error handle, for LoadRunner is actions. Now this is the last thing that we will do. Once the whole step of first recording, cleaning, then parameterization, correlation, then text check, then error handling, all this is completed. That means your script is running end to end perfectly fine. After you finish this, run the script for at least 10 iterations. Now regarding iterations I will talk about, and then today only after actions we will see runtime settings. For this you will talk about how to run multiple iterations. Okay, now you run 10 iterations. If the 10 iteration passes, start creating actions. Okay, that's how the flow should be. Now actions, right? Actions is similar to your QTP actions that we did. Actions, but it's not associated with any sheet, nothing. It's separate. In QTP, we don't. If we want to run login once, multiple iterations of insert order and log out, we do. Give me one. Okay, so now in order to do this, we used actions to do it, right? And if you want to run multiple iterations of insert order, I put a if loop there. We don't need to worry about all these things, right here. We don't need to put a loop if you want to run multiple iterations. Actions are divided into 3 categories. By default, actions are divided into 3 categories. One, VUser INIT actions, and VUser underscore end. Now anything that you put inside VUser action init will run only once. Similarly, anything that you put under VUser end will run only once. While actions can be iterated n number of times. Actions. So only so when you wanted to run a script where you want to log in once and do 10 orders and then log out once, all you need to do is take the login portion, that is you launch the application once and log in. So you launch and log in and put it under VUser init. Take the action portion where you create, put it under actions, and take the logout portion and put it inside VUser end. So this is the flow of your actions. So you use your launch, and always your launch, login, and any other action that you feel that has to run only once should be inside. That's the topmost portion of your action should be inside init, and only logout will be inside your VUser end. Rest of the portion where you are iterating the function will be inside actions. Now this action also can be split into multiple ways. So let's see how to work with this. So I'm going to create a new script first. Let's work with actions and then we will come and do our actions. So now I have VUser init. So I'm going to put an output message, LR underscore output message, and I'm going to say this is VUser underscore INIT. Okay, and this I'm going to put copy this. I'm going to say VUser, this is action 1. Action 1. And this I'm going to put it and say user end. End. Okay. Now let's run one iteration and see how it works. Let's run one iteration. I ran, by default it runs one iteration, right? So you'll see here, you see here, this is VUser init, action and end. Now I'll go to my runtime settings. If you see here, VUser init, action and end. You see here, run, only action is inside the run. Init portion, VUser init is by default, this is how the split happens. Now, if you wanted to run, say example, you can change the order here. You can change any order you want here. You cannot change it here. You see here, this doesn't allow you to move your actions up and down. Doesn't allow you to move. So what you do, say if in case you wanted to move an action up and down, you can do it here. Whatever you set in your runtime settings is what it's going to run in final. Say example, I want to run two iterations. You see here, only that action is showing 2. Rest all is not showing only. So if I run like this, if I run this, you'll see here action running twice. See VUser init once, this is action 1, this is action 1, and then VUser end. So action runs twice. Now if I want to, say example, run my login and log out along with action twice, how do I do that? Just delete this here. Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. This action is not going to get deleted. I'll click on this action and say insert action, VUser init. I'll click on this insert action, VUser end. See, delete. Or if I want to move up or down, move up or move down, whatever you want to change. So now what will happen, you will see that all the 3 gets iterated twice. See, VUser init, action, end. Init, action, end. So it is easy for us to control how you want your action to run. Whether you want only the logout to run once, put it inside init. Put that action inside init. User end only once, delete it, put it action inside init. In the end. This is how you start modifying your actions and you control those actions. Guys, you are able to understand? Any questions on this? Fine. Now, like in QTP, I can also import an action from an external script. But here, QTP, we had option of importing it call to copy or call to external action. But here we have only call to copy. That is, you can create a copy of the external action here. You cannot do anything else. So there is a tab, separate tab for here. If you want to create a new action, click on the create action, provide the name. I'm going to give action 2. You see here, it went off under the VUser init. Don't worry. The order in which it runs will be in this order. So I can delete this here. Delete, and I'll put this here. Delete. So whatever order you specify here, only it will run. Does not matter where this is showing up. Don't bother about this. So if I want to create another action, I'll create another action. Action 3. See, it got created under action 2. Okay. So the order in which you put it inside your runtime settings, that's the order in which it's going to run. So let me show you that. So I'll say action 2. This I'll put it as action 2. Action 2. Oh, sorry. Action 2. And this I'll put it as action 3. Action 3. Now, what is the order in the runtime settings? Init. So I won't take this out. Why is it not going out? Insert. User end. Delete. Insert. User end. Okay. Now it is in action, action 2, action 3. That's the order in which it's running. So 2 iterations. Let's run this. Let's see. See here. So it ran first iteration, user init, action 1, action 2, action 3, second iteration, action 1, action 2, action 3, and end. If I go here and change my, I'm moving this up. So it should run action 2, action, and action 3. See, action 2, action, action 3. So the order in which you put inside your runtime settings is the order in which it's going to run. Okay. Now, if I want to import an action from another script, I'll go to actions. I will say, see, this is to delete an action. You want to rename an action, you can click on the specific action and click on this, or right click on that action and say to rename action, and you can give a different name to the action. Now be careful, the name when you give here, do not change here. If you want to rename the action, this is not the place to rename the action. Okay, the place to rename the action is here. So if I select this, right click, rename, see here action 2 is named as action 2 here. If I rename this as Rajesh, it will automatically change. But if you rename here, it won't change. You see here, it won't change and it will fail. So never do this change here. Okay? Guys, you are able to understand what I'm talking? Now if I want to import a new action, select any action, right click and say import action to VuGen. Select the what you wanted to say. Example here I wanted to import this action. You see here there are 3 actions available for you in that particular script which you want to import. Select that, click OK, and the whole action will get imported here. You see here the whole action got imported here. You see imported action and the whole functionality is here. But if when you are importing, be careful if you have say example if you have the parameterization all defined there, be careful, it will mess up your parameterization. Okay, here you see here it messed up the parameterization with the name change, everything. So it is not recommended to see it imported the parameterization, but it gave the script name in front of it. You see, it gave the script name in front of it. So you have to be very careful. Always it is advisable to import before you parameterize and then parameterize. It is always advisable to import raw script. And if you delete that, if you delete it, the problem is that the parameterization will get corrupted. And you see here that parameterization is still available. Those are still available even though you deleted the script. So be careful when you import action from a different script. Be very careful when you import it. Okay. Next what we are going to see here is, we saw how to import the script, right? Import the action. If I want to call a different action within an action, how do I do that? Say example, I have action 1. Inside my action 1, I want to call action 3 again. So action Rajesh again. I'll say Rajesh, open, close, and now if you see, it will call action when it executes this action, it will call this action also. Let's run this and see. Now you will see that action Rajesh action Rajesh, what is this? Action 2. So starting action Rajesh, this is action 2. Starting action 1 is not call. Sorry, I put it after return 0. Sorry guys. That's why it did not get executed. It should be, the return 0 should be the last. No. Oh, let's run this. You see here? Executing action. First it called action 1 and then it called action 2C. Because it went into Rajesh action. You see this? It called up Rajesh action again. And then again it called Rajesh action because it's action 3. Guys, you are able to understand this. Any questions? Any questions? Fine. The last what we are going to see in actions is, now you know that these are the list of actions. Right? If I want to run, say, action 3 5 times, then action 2 and action 1. How do I run that? I need not put an if loop inside, a for loop inside. No, don't do all those things. If I want, there are some places where you want to execute one functionality more number of times than the other functionality. How do you do that? What I will do, I'll click on run, I'll create a block. I'll create a block. Now, what I will do, I'll take and put this block. What I'll do, I'll delete this Rajesh outside and put it inside the block. Now, for the block, you see here there is properties. Only for the block you will get properties. How do you want to run the block? I want to run it sequential, random, and how many iterations? Say example, I want to run 5 iterations. For every 1 iteration, I want this to run 5 times. Now if I run this, you will see. So for every 1 iteration, my Rajesh will run 5 times. You see here, what is the sequence in which we have put? Let's see the sequence. First, as soon as you get in, first thing is the block, then action and action 3. So as soon as it got started the run iteration, it took the action, Rajesh, see Rajesh 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times it ran Rajesh, and then it ran, wait, hold on. Yeah, but that's because I have action called Rajesh inside. Yeah, I have action called Rajesh, so that's why it ran Rajesh again. See here, it ran Rajesh again because the action call was there, and then it ran the other iterations. So I was able to run Rajesh action 5 times in 1 iteration only. Yeah, what's your question?
So only 1 block we can create, Rajesh? Only
no, you can create n number of blocks. That's up to you.
Is there a number of time? There is a limit. Like if I want it like 50 times also, I can go up to that? Or?
Yeah. See, what happens is, when you're doing your workload modeling, sometimes there will be a functionality where, let me clean this up. There will be a functionality where you say example login, you are sending mail and then logging out. Okay. Here you want to send this mail. In this send mail, attachment is also there. Correct?
Yeah.
So you wanted to see that more, say 500 people are doing this, sending mail. But in the 500, only 10% send attach mails. So are you going to create 2 scripts? No, you're not going to create 2 scripts. So what we will do, we'll create login, launch and login inside my init, send mail and attach mail as 2 transactions and log out. Now what I'll do, this one, for 1 iteration, say for it should be only 10%, correct?
Yeah.
Say example, if I want to run 10 iterations, this should run only once. Correct?
Yeah.
So what I'll do, I'll put my send mail with a block of 9. So for 1 iteration, this will run 9 times. And this will run once. Got it?
Okay.
So that is how this is where we use all this. Got it? If in case you have a functionality which there are two things that we do in the same functionality, but there is a distribution, we do this block.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You
Thanks.
getting me?
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. Fine. So that is all what we need to know about actions. So when we are working with actions, if we go here, what I would do, I'm going to close this. In my script, I would go and take my launch and my login. Launch and my login. I'll take this, Control X, and I'll go to my init and I'll put it here. So I'll take and put it here. That is where my launch and my login is going to come in. Then I'll leave my action, that is my creating the flight, selecting the flight, everything here. And I'll take my log out. I'll take my log out and I'll put it here. So now when you split this, things that you need to remember. You should have a think time before the start transaction. Okay, you should have a think time before the start transaction and a think time after the end transaction. So you are seeing that if there are two requests, see I have launch and login. So I will put a think time between my launch and login. My launch and login, there is a think time. Fine. I need not have a think time after my end transaction. That is my the login portion. You don't need to have a think time. The next is your script, right? So I have a think time. Because I don't have a think time at the end transaction, I put a think time at the start transaction. Then I have a think time. Towards the end, I don't need this think time. The next, I'll have a think time on the top. Guys, you are able to understand this? Any questions? Any questions? Fine. So now, let me run one iteration. I'm going to run one iteration and see whether everything works. Something failed. I saw some red color. Okay, that's because we had the in-flight 1. Perfect. So it ran perfectly fine. No issues. So that's all what we do with our scripting on a day-to-day basis.